The most unsettling aspect of true crime isn't always the malice of the act itself, but the lingering, permanent silence that follows. Criminologists can trace patterns, analyze DNA, and reconstruct timelines, but every so often, a case defies all human logic. A door is left open, a car is abandoned on a dark shoulder, or an entire house is emptied in the dead of night, leaving behind a trail of breadcrumbs that leads absolutely nowhere. Today, we break down 3 of the most high-intensity, dark cold cases in United States history. These are the unsolvable puzzles, where the files remain open, the suspects remain nameless, and the truth remains locked away in the shadows. The night of June 6, 1992, was supposed to be a milestone celebration in Springfield, Missouri. 19-year-old Susie Streeter and her best friend, 18-year-old Stacy McCall, had just graduated from high school. After a long night of attending graduation parties, the 2 girls decided to head back to Susie's house around 2:15 a.m. to sleep. Susie lived with her 47-year-old mother, Cheryl Levitt, a successful local hairstylist. The plan was simple: wake up the next morning, pack their bags, and head out to a local water park. But when morning arrived, the routine of a normal Sunday evaporated into a nightmare. Friends arrived at the house around 9 a.m., surprised to find the front door completely unlocked. Stepping inside, the atmosphere was dead silent. All 3 women, Susie, Stacy, and Cheryl, were completely gone. Yet nothing else in the home indicated a struggle. The women's purses were lined up neatly on the living room floor, containing their keys, money, identification, and Cheryl's necessary pack of cigarettes. The family's small Yorkie dog was found trapped inside the house, barking anxiously, but unharmed. The police swarmed the property, but the initial investigation was severely compromised. Because friends and family had walked through the house looking for the women before realizing a crime had occurred, crucial footprint and fingerprint evidence was accidentally destroyed. The only physical anomaly at the scene was a small broken glass porch light cover on the front step. For decades, the FBI and local task forces chased thousands of leads. Theories ranged from a targeted abduction by a local transient to a highly coordinated contract kidnapping. A local woman later came forward stating she saw a green utility van being driven erratically by a distressed blonde girl down the street that morning. But the vehicle was never located. To this day, 3 decades later, not a single piece of forensic evidence, clothing, or remains has ever been found. The Springfield Three simply vanished into the night, leaving an open front door and an empty living room as a permanent haunting monument to their disappearance. In the mid-1990s, 27-year-old Jodi Huisentruit was one of the most recognizable faces in northern Iowa. She was the vibrant, charismatic morning television news anchor for Kim TV in Mason City. Known for her infectious energy and deep connection to her viewers, Jodi was on a fast track to a national broadcasting career. But on the morning of June 27, 1995, her studio went completely dark. Jodi's shift was scheduled to begin at 4 a.m. to prepare for the 6 a.m. live broadcast. When she failed to show up at her desk by 4:15 a.m., the morning producer grew worried and dialed her apartment phone. Jodi answered, sounding rushed and slightly disoriented, stating she had overslept but was running out the door immediately. That brief phone conversation was the last time anyone ever heard her voice. By 6 a.m., with the broadcast airing without its star anchor, the news director called the Mason City Police Department. An officer was dispatched to her apartment complex at Key Apartments. When the officer walked into the parking lot, he found a violent, chaotic crime scene just yards away from her front door. Jodi's red Mazda Miata was parked in her assigned space. Scattered across the asphalt next to the driver's side door were her personal belongings, a bottle of hairspray, her high-heeled shoes, a hairdryer, and her car keys. Most disturbingly, the keys were bent out of shape, indicating a violent struggle where she had desperately clung to them as she was overpowered. Police also noted dragging scuff marks in the gravel nearby. Neighbors later reported hearing a muffled scream around 4:30 a.m., followed by the sound of a white or light-colored pickup truck speeding out of the parking lot with its headlights turned off. The investigation went into overdrive, utilizing state dive teams to search nearby rivers and federal profiling experts to track local sex offenders. Yet, despite decades of relentless media attention, search warrants on local properties and grand jury testimonies, no trace of Jodi Huisentruit has ever been recovered. Her microphone remains empty, a chilling reminder of a morning routine that was intercepted in the dark. The tracking of a disappearance becomes exponentially more difficult when the victim's final actions seem completely erratic. On February 9, 2004, 21-year-old Maura Murray, a brilliant nursing student at the University of Massachusetts Amherst, abruptly packed her belongings into cardboard boxes, emptied her bank account, and emailed her professors claiming a fictional death, and the family required her to take a week off. She packed her black Saturn sedan and drove north into the rugged, snowy White Mountains of New Hampshire. She told absolutely no one where she was going or why. At approximately 7:30 p.m., as darkness blanketed the rural town of Woodsville, New Hampshire, Maura failed to navigate a sharp, icy turn on Route 112, known locally as the Wild Ammonoosuc Road. Her car veered off the asphalt, crashing hard into a snowbank. A local school bus driver who lived down the road happened to pass by minutes later. He pulled over and offered assistance, noting that a young woman was shivering outside the vehicle. She begged him not to call the police, claiming she had already contacted AAA for a tow truck. Knowing that there was absolutely no cell phone service in that mountainous dead zone, the bus driver drove home and dialed 911 anyway. A New Hampshire state trooper arrived at the crash site at exactly 7:46 p.m., just 14 minutes after the bus driver had left her. But when the trooper stepped out of his cruiser, he was met with a ghost scene. The Saturn was locked, its airbags deployed, and a box of wine was damaged in the back seat. But Maura Murray was completely gone. In that tight 14-minute window, she had vanished into the pitch-black, freezing mountain air. Search and rescue teams, tracking dogs, and helicopters swarmed the wilderness over the following week. The bloodhounds tracked her scent for a mere 100 yards down the road before losing it completely in the middle of the asphalt, strongly indicating that she had stepped into a passing vehicle. Did she accept a ride from a random opportunistic predator roaming the highway, or did she flee into the dense woods to escape the police, succumbing to the sub-zero temperatures? For over 20 years, the wilderness of New Hampshire has kept its secrets. Maura's phone, wallet, and backpack have never been found, leaving her final 14 minutes as one of the most agonizing, intensely debated mysteries of the internet age. 3 open cases, 3 missing women, and 0 concrete answers. The files of Springfield, Mason City, and Woodsville stand as a stark reminder that sometimes the dark patterns of our world don't end with a conviction. They end with a question mark. The families of Susie, Stacy, Cheryl, Jodi, and Maura continue to wait for the single phone call, the unexpected tip, or the modern forensic breakthrough that will finally bring their loved ones home from the dark. Which of these 3 cases do you believe is closest to being solved? Let me know your theories in the comments below. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and like this video to keep the search for justice alive. Stay safe out there.